accept that application and schedule a site visit, whatever's convenient for people. I will not be here, so don't look for me. Okay? We have a new application, 1767. We'll accept it and, again, schedule a site visit. It's just a septic tank. It should not be a big deal. Turning to old business, application 1762, 254 Berkshire Road. Mr. Rawlinson, proposal to remove dead and leaning trees, and that's good. Mr. Rawlinson has apparently asked for an extension? Yes. Okay, so we need to move that. I'll move for the extension.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. That was easy. Application 1764, 633 Old Waterbury Road. Ms. Monahan, to replace a crossing, damage in the flooding. Let's get a report. Who was there? Somebody there? You? No? Anybody go see this?
Yes, so I was out there. There was the site report that was sent out to you guys that had a few photos in it. It's an existing timber crossing, and what they're looking to do is remove that, what was damaged during the storm, also inclusive of removing some of the material that was built out in order to make more so of like a dammed berm area to reduce the actual span of the timber. So they're looking at ripping that out, removing some of the sediment that's on there, and replacing it with a similar design that's downstream, which is going to be two 36-inch concrete pipes. They're going to have a mix of layering of various sized stone. So it's going to be set an 1.5 inch gravel base, putting the concrete in. They're going to be adding in 6-inch to 10-inch riprap, and then filling above that with millings for the full driveway.
The crossing that you're talking about right by the road?
It's on their property, so it's actually, it comes in from the driveway.
Yep.
Let's see. So I think in the packet that was there, you guys did have an aerial image. There you go, correct. So that's setting the sort of the aerial image, showing you the grades, showing that there's a parking area that you come in from, which has been utilized currently for access to the house. Vehicles are not recommended to cross the timber crossing that's there. It's just, it's not structurally sound whatsoever.
So how are they getting in and out?
Currently, right now, I mean, they're
over the
parking at the
timber
end. Not myself. We did not while we were out there. And then walking across, utilizing that. But this is the only way to actually drive up and get access to the house.
What's the current, what was previously there? They're proposing two 36-inch pipes.
So what was there was a free spanning timber, like more so of a footbridge
bigger than
than
36 inches.
the opening itself.
72, yeah.
Correct.
That's what Carl's report says. The use of the pipes will decrease the capacity. Has anybody looked at it to actually measure whether this is adequate?
So we did get these drainage calculations sent to us.
I'm not going to read. What's the conclusion?
So ultimately, this, who is this prepared for? This was prepared by D'Amico Associates. The drainage calculations were received today. And ultimately, it is saying that the two 36-inch pipes should be able to withstand a 25-year storm. And that was, provided evidence, and based on the calculations, that's what would be standing. Is somebody here to speak towards that from D'Amico? When you step up to the podium?
Please, if you'll give us your name and address.
Okay, green. I'm Kathleen Monahan, and my brother John Monahan is on the end. The property was recently transferred to us from our mother's estate, And last year in the storm, like you were mentioning, the water crossing was damaged. So we're here hopefully to seek approval to have that corrected. We did have do you have the calculations? I have a couple copies
we have
that are in addition. He didn't have the chance to write a full map, correct? But that's what we have from him. And we have Ed Blue, who did the proposal, and Ken Williams to answer any other questions.
Who's going to do the work? Do you know?
Ed Blue.
Okay. I guess the only question I have is, given that we're getting a lot more rain and a lot more flooding on occasion, is the 160 CFS sufficient?
It's designed and per the engineering analysis to withstand a 25-year storm.
But
Anything.
that's meaningless anymore.
Right.
We do have.
Yeah, happy to have you talk, but please step up to the podium and introduce yourself so we know who you are. Thank you, sir.
Ken Williams, I was out at the meeting with you and Charlie Nevers, right?
Charlie's.
Oh. We have spoken. Okay. I forgot you were there. And I was asked, based on the 20, downriver from there is two 36-inch pipes, which held up for the storm that we had last year.
Oh, okay.
And that's when the other gentleman that suggested we get this done from the engineer. the
I'm only
calculations
raising it because we've been having more flooding.
Yeah.
And we don't want it to wash out on you again.
Oh, honestly, yes.
And you don't either, obviously.
No.
So, but you said,
But downriver is more houses using the same size pipe.
okay.
We have some photographs of the neighbors alongside of us and that have the same plan that we're looking for.
Okay, so there's some history there showing that, in fact, it does work.
Yeah.
Okay. That sort of answers my question.
My name is John Monahan. The home itself is from '73, and the structure that's there now. Saying the structure, the building the home that's there is from '73, and the structure itself was stood, not the flooding that we had, but it was there for the past whatever, what's that, 40-something, 50-something years.
Yeah, but you are changing it substantially.
Yeah,
so.
The amount of drainage basin you have there is pretty significant. That's why we're, questioning it, that's all. 2 36-inch pipes flow a lot of water, but, at the end of the day, you've got from the roadside and from the other side of the brook draining down in there, and whatever's up above it. I don't know how far up 633 is, but not to the top of the hill, I don't think.
Not quite.
No.
Also, like you're saying, the flooding, but the flow there is virtually not much.
The normal flow is nothing, essentially. But again, it's that over the last 10 years, we've had at least one 9-inch rain.
Yeah.
And we've had a couple of 6s, and that's what we're concerned about. It's that peak runoff, which took the bridge out before. So it is comforting to know that someone else has the same setup and it's working.
To build something that is more capable than what is capable downstream,
That's a good thing.
yeah, it is a good thing, but I can see why, if they want to limit, it's adequate. If it's adequate and functioning okay downstream, then, yeah, you can just see what Mother Nature brings. But,
Unfortunately, we don't really have any standard that says under circumstances now versus circumstances 20 years ago,
right.
we should have, DEEP hasn't come out with anything saying how much you should increase your capacities by. We don't have anything to go by.
Right.
And the engineer's saying it should handle a 25-year storm,
you have a,
Typically, deep doesn't design to 25-year storms.
Right.
Deep,
That's
deep,
what I was
deep,
asked to get.
deep
an
right
engineer to
now,
look at, though.
deep right now designs to 100-year storms.
Yeah, and I'm not sure we can ask these people to do it to a 100-year storm. It's not required. And it would be significantly more than they're doing now. And unfortunately, the engineer didn't give us a comparison.
did we get a detail of like the construction sequence, anything to that effect, or?
And I just got this a minute ago, I don't know what's in it.
So we do have a sketch that,
I drew.
yes, correct. So we do have a sketch that was provided, which generally outlines the layering in a section detail and then also a plan detail. I do not believe they have it there.
Take that. She knows this way better than I do.
You don't have it, I do. Are you?
But also to that, I was wondering if you would also be able to speak towards like the staging sequence. When is it that you plan on actually doing this work? How are you going to deal with it should a rainstorm actually come and you have to walk away from the site? What are the soil and erosion controls that you are all thinking of? That is information that was not on here that we just want to make sure the commission is ultimately comfortable with.
Well, we talked about that when we, out at the site, we talked about the erosion control and silt fence for around any spoil piles, if there are any. I mean, it's not gonna take long to do this.
But what is it, like the timeline? Because you and I had had the conversation about that, but the rest of the commissioners were not there, and there's nothing in writing. So ultimately, we would just want to be adding that in
How long it would take?
and having it on record.
Talking a week in time to do the whole thing, start to finish.
And are you targeting to do it during this fall?
Most likely. Before winter gets here, yeah, that'd be nice.
So when the stream is at its lowest?
Oh, yeah, it's,
That's what I was looking for.
yes.
Since you'll be working in the stream, have you contacted Deep Fisheries for their recommendations or presented anything to them?
I mean, the bridge is gonna come right out. No problem.
No, I understand that.
Couple of logs to move, some stone to put down to put it on. It's not digging the brook out any deeper, we're not making it any wider.
Have you seen fish in there in the passing and crossing? No,
Oh,
not,
fish
okay.
couldn't live in that.
Well, I'm just asking the question because the proposal says that you're gonna be installing a sand material in the bottom of the pipes to facilitate fish passage. And that was the reason for asking if Deep Fisheries has seen this, because they typically go and they want stream bed material.
That was in the application?
Well, it's what's here in the, as far as a synopsis of what was mentioned at the site meeting.
Considering lowering the level of where you had the actual culvert pipes compared to what
Below
was
the
in
water level
sketch.
uncovered with fine sand and stone to allow for safe fish passage.
Oh, I see.
So to just kind of drop the level,
Drop the
so it
level.
would
Oh,
actually
okay.
allow
So it actually
any passage.
flows through.
I
Flows
understand, I
through.
understand what you're saying now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and
we've
then-
done a lot of driveway crossings, and we've
Yep.
had some that they set the pipe right on top of whatever's there,
And then it's blocked.
thinking
I
that
understand.
that's, the best scenario, and nothing's going through it, it's going underneath it, so.
So it's gotta be set down a little bit to allow
Yep.
for that.
I'm gonna
I get it.
propose that we defer a decision on this. We're not rejecting it. But I think we need a little more detail. There's some questions have come up, as you've heard.
Specifically staging and erosion control. As far as how, how the work's gonna be done, if you're taking something out of the bottom of the stream bed, you have to say that you're doing that, and how you're gonna get the sand material back into the pipes and that sort of thing. If that's the case, then so be it, but.
I think we need just a little more detail. I have a little concern about timing. What were you thinking of, when were you thinking of trying to get this running?
We're just trying to get it done before winter.
Yeah,
The house needs work, and we
October.
can't get in there to work on the house. That's the problem.
I understand that. I guess guess I'm not comfortable. I think there's enough unknown that I can't recommend, from my perspective, that we approve this tonight. I think we need some more detail from you guys on
Detail of what?
exactly how it's gonna be done.
Ed, you wanna come up? I mean, he's the contractor. You have any questions for him?
Name's
We need-
Ed Blue.
We need to have it basically in
in
the
a print?
application in writing.
On a print, is what you're looking for?
However you wanna do it, but yes, a
Yep.
couple supplemental drawings.
Verbal is not, I mean, it's important.
Yep.
But it needs to be on the drawing so that, you know, if you dig a 20-foot gully there, not that you would, you didn't do what you said you're gonna do, and that's what we go on.
Or if,
Right,
if
you
he
want-
Okay,
goes
so,
out there and the
so
pipes are
where the
still on
erosion
top, it's
controls
3
are gonna
days,
go,
6 inches
you know,
under.
step by step, how you're gonna do it, and put a date to it, you know, whenever you think you're gonna start. If it's as soon as possible, then write that. I mean, the details on this drawing are enough for me personally, but if we have, you know, the erosion controls and other things added to it, that would make this decision a little easier. I don't foresee any
Depth of
issue,
pipe placement.
but without that in place, it's kind of a, you know, carte blanche, you do what you want.
Yeah, and I think a little more detail on what's gonna go in the pipe too, because you put sand in there, it's gonna be gone in one storm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, whatever the case may be. Whatever you're gonna do is what we need to have on the plan.
right. Thad, you had a question?
Are there any other bridges that cross over farther downstream?
Yes.
Are we imposing a standard that's equal to what others are, or just this a?
As far as the size of the pipe, they have, you know, downstream neighbors that have 36-inch pipes that didn't get impacted with the storm. I don't think they should change the concept at all. It's just we need to have the additional detail on how they're gonna do it.
And the ones down.
Yeah, the 36, I think, is plenty. I mean, if you get a 1,000-year storm and it takes it out, I mean,
It's a different matter.
yeah,
We all understand that.
you know. And you have to have, you know, egress, so, I mean, we're not looking to hold you up at all, but, you know, some more detail is just what we need.
So I think we want to continue the hearing until next month, and hopefully we'll have it all done and can wrap it up then.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
We have to motion to,
I think we need
To
a
table
motion to
that?
continue. So I'll make
Nope.
that motion.
Nope.
No motion?
okay, so moved.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
And good luck. Next item is application 1765, 281 Berkshire Road, removal of fill from a pond. We have a site visit report. Who did that? Thank you. Address, please? 281 Berkshire. Thank you. Thad, you went down to look at the pond, right?
Right.
Okay. What did you find? Oh, he's not here.
He had a neighbor also that's gonna work with him, and he's got a piece of equipment, it's got an arm that sticks out about 8 feet or something, 9 feet, so he's gonna, 12 feet, so he's gonna pull the silt that's built up on the top of the pond, like 3 to 6 inches of silt, pull it over without any vehicles going into the pond area.
Thank you.
So it'll be sitting on
Oh,
dry
that's
land,
typical.
pulling the stuff over, then they're gonna put it in a place that's away from the stream, and it's just inland a little bit more. It's like a short distance up the hill there, and they're gonna fill it in there. So
Plant in it.
you know, and I think the proposition or the proposal was good.
Is this sediment from the storm?
So I could speak a
It's a regular, yeah, every
It's a
10 to 20 years.
maintenance sort of thing?
Yeah, so as we had discussed on site, he's been there, hasn't had to address anything with this pond for the past 20 years. This is the first time it's actually coming up. In recent years, you've been noticing additional runoff coming from the neighboring properties, which are primarily vacant, not developed at all. So you have everything washing down, and it's making its way into this pond. And the pond has been relatively full in other years, but this year has been abnormally dry, which even in the photos that we had taken, it's just muddy, silty hole. So yeah, so you could speak to the last rainstorm that the photos you provided me, there was standing water in there. So it is actively working, but in order to give the water more area to actually go through and act as a pond like it should be, the silt would have to be removed in a specific particular area. He's not looking to, dredge the whole pond. He's not looking to impact the whole pond. Actually is respecting the ecosystem that's there and specifically looking at what used to be a larger, deeper portion of the pond, scraping that and the invasives out using the mini excavator on a rubber track pad. So not impacting any of the area, would come in from, I think it was the eastern side of the lot, which is all grass. So wouldn't even be coming into the wetlands area to do this work whatsoever. No machinery would be entering and then reaching the arm and depositing it in this lower sort of particular area of the lot.
I also, didn't we have a little discussion while we were there about the pipe going underneath the driveway there? And doing some, excuse me? At the end, yes. And that you were going to do something to improve that capability? Okay.
So it was sort of a discussion that it could be addressed, but it was not being addressed as part of this application. This one is specifically to remove 2 to 3 yards, so, scraping the top 6 inches to 12 inches of material, leaving all of the native species, trying to get what's in there that is invasive out as part of that scraping, and
Does the
Go
pipe
from
need
there.
to be addressed? Is it impeding drainage or anything?
no, not, from my opinion, seeing it out there, it was clean, it wasn't dredged, the water that would be in there would be draining, but it's just at a low point, so it was exposed and you could see it.
So after,
So,
oh,
how far down are we actually gonna go? Like 12 inches? 6, 12 inches?
as far as where you're staging it, it's not gonna run off and come right back in, right? Okay. So the thing with it is usually very fine sediment and it would wash back in a heavy storm or something like that. It's one of those things, do you require some sort of silt protection until it stabilizes or not? And if it's in a spot where it's physically not gonna make its way back there, obviously that's the reason why you're doing this, but seeded or something, yep, okay. Okay. Yeah, 'cause it'll be super wet, obviously, as you know, and that water will have to go somewhere too.
And what time of the year, is this happening like in the next month, or springtime?
Yeah,
Good time to do
yeah,
it.
low now. Yeah,
As far as the invasive species, are you just gonna remove them and then bury them on site, or are they gonna be taken off-site?
well, most of that'll come out in your dredging, I guess, I would imagine. Yeah,
Yeah, it'll only take it 2 years to come back.
yeah, yeah.
I'm good.
I mean, I see it as a
Resolution looks okay.
maintenance operation to me, so.
Discussion. Okay, all
Does the commission want to consider any stabilization of the silt that will be deposited or any long-term soil and erosion controls?
I would say, seeding that down, it's gonna grow pretty quick. If you get it done soon, you might actually get something out of it before winter.
It's in your interest, obviously, to get the money back into the pond, so
Yep.
I'm not too worried.
Yeah, there probably should be
Yeah.
some hay bales placed around it as soon as it's excavated.
Yeah,
I think the resolution's fine.
okay.
You guys wanna read it?
What does it have in terms of?
Erosion,
So
erosion
we'll-
control.
this is the resolution for application 1765 for removal of 2 to 3 yards of silt and sediment buildup from the swamp. Whereas the Southbury Inlands and Wetlands and Watercourse Agency received an application on September 17th to remove 2 to 3 yards of silt buildup from the swamp. Whereas the following supporting documents have been received as part of this application. 1, application for maintenance and restoration received by the Land Use Department and the Southbury Inlands and Wetlands Commission on September 17th, 2025. 2, GIS sketch stamped received by the Southbury Wetlands Commission on October 14th, 2025. 3, a proposal of construction staging prepared by Michael Cuniff and Glenn Hopper. Whereas the applicant seeks to remove 6 to 12 inches of material, approximately 2 to 3 yards of accumulated mud and silt on the northwestern side of the swamp through the use of a mini excavator with rubber tracks and a 12-foot arm staged on the eastern side of the embankment. Whereas the applicant plans to remove invasive species along the northwestern side of the embankment through a process of scraping the topmost 12-inch layer of pond material. Whereas no entry into the watercourse is proposed, and the mini excavator will use the 12-foot arm to scrape the pond material and deposit it approximately 30 to 40 feet just north of the swamp. Whereas the Inlands, Wetlands, and Watercourse Agency has considered this application and all information provided and finds the application to be substantially conform to the Inlands, Wetlands regulations of Southbury. And then we've got our typical resolutions as part of that. So this is a draft, and we can revise it to reflect whichever soil and erosion controls we ultimately would want.
Would it make sense just to use hay bales and that instead of doing like an engineered silt fence?
Yeah?
Hay bales would be fine.
Yeah, I think,
Hay bales for more permanent, okay.
Yep.
So we will revise this to include hay bale, combination of hay wattles for, you know, the more permanent, stockpile location that you ultimately decide on landing on, which
Yeah,
was that 30 to 40-foot distance from the swamp.
the downhill side.
Specified.
Normally it's hay bales, you stake them in, they use oak stakes. Put it around on the downhill side, so if water does, if it rains, for example, and stuff starts washing, it hits the hay bale and stops. That's all it is, it's pretty simple.
Gotcha.
And should we
And not
also,
expensive.
should we
Right.
also include some reestablishment of turf or whatever's there with the machine running back and forth between the pond and wherever the disposal site is, if that's gonna be 30 or 40 feet? You're gonna tear that up pretty good.
Yeah, we can absolutely put that in there, 100%.
Yeah, so let's modify the resolution to add that hay bales are appropriate. Erosion control will be used, and that any damage done by transporting materials from the pond to the disposal area will be remediated. You can do it any way you want, just something.
Go straight back and forth with the machine.
It'll
Turn around.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, okay.
Don't turn around, choose the ground.
It digs it up and makes more work for you. Is what it
Yeah,
is.
that makes
If
sense.
it's gonna be 40 feet away, you're gonna have to track out and then dump it.
Yeah, I don't even think,
Scoop it, make a pile here, then move the pile again.
Oh, yeah, that'll be fun.
With wet material like
No,
that.
you don't want to do that.
We'll do that as little as possible anyways.
so you're going, go straight in and straight back out.
Yeah.
All right, I'll mention
It
that.
won't be
to
hard,
Brian.
it's not that much material,
No, it's not much.
you know,
I hope
just
not.
be messy.
I'm not looking for a lot.
Okay, so with those amendments, I'll move to approve the resolution. Donna seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none, matter passes. Thank you very much.
That's
and
it?
That's
And
it.
then you're gonna send me something, or do I have to do anything else?
Correct. So our office will follow up with you after this for the next steps, and we'll outline that. And we will also send you the final copy of the approved resolution.
Okay, great.
And you'll have your permit, and good luck.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Hopefully it won't rain.
That's right.
Thank you. Okay. That's it. We do have a show cause hearing for 471 Old Poverty Road. Conservation District has requested that be continued, or excuse me, the Land Trust has requested that be continued again. Is there any update update on what's going on there? Have you heard anything?
No, I spoke with Joe and he said that they're still in the process of like, litigation and trying to figure out
It's
things.
been a while.
It's been a while, yes.
Yeah.
So,
All right, I don't have a problem really. So let's let it go and continue it, shall we? Very good. Now we're on to other business, aquifer regulations. I think there's nothing to talk about as
No
far as I
comment on
know.
that, yep, nothing to say on that.
Officers report.
Officers report, we've been just keeping up with the applications that have been going on. We've heard some just general feedback from people going through this that they would like to be more kept in the loop when they go through applications. So that's something internally that we'll be working on to make sure when they send us something, the commission is absolutely receiving it in a timely manner. And then ultimately from there, as soon as they do receive their approval from you guys, outlining what that looks like. So we will be working internally
I think it would,
to expedite it.
and I know that you guys work very hard at this, but, I mean, it's just happened tonight, They came in
Right.
with an application, and it's not complete. Obvious things that would be asked about, they didn't get it done, we get an engineer's report the day of the meeting. That's not gonna fly. Yeah. You had no chance to do anything with it. So that's too bad, but that's shooting yourself in the foot. But if we can remind them they need to do this stuff, that would help. And I know you work at it, I'm not criticizing.
No,
But-
that's part of the process. We're willing to work with the feedback we're getting, and so that's part of it
Yeah.
from both sides.
That'll keep some people from coming in thinking that they wasted their time tonight, too,
Right.
I mean, not that they were upset, it is what it is, but.
Well, I'm sure that they went out and said, geez, I wish we'd known that before, we could have included it. And the thing is, they should have known it. The engineer should have known this is stuff that should be looked at and considered, but they don't, because he has a narrow focus. It's how big is the pipe gonna be? It's not all the related stuff, and it happens all the time.
The other thing too is we can,
Yeah, so that is the process that we do. When we receive the application, we do review it, and we do give them time to supplement in information. So for example, the applications that were accepted tonight are not full applications. They have been supplementing in information in preparation for next month's meeting. But that's what we're looking to try and avoid, so that we can give the commission a full application and say, here you go, and have little things coming as supplemental information instead of major things that might be influencing a decision.
Yeah, as I said, I know you guys all work at it very hard, and it's difficult when people often aren't sure what they're gonna do.
Right.
Well, where are you gonna stockpile it? I don't know, we didn't think about that. Well, you gotta think about it. Okay, so that's that.
Yep.
Bills and receipts? Nothing. Good. Correspondence? Oh, yay. Minutes, the July 16th meeting. I have no comments. Anybody else? Whatever it is. Interesting. Says July.
I do have one question before we adjourn. Are we all done with the F labeled applications at this point? That was, what was that, 90 days or something like that?
there is, there are a few applications that are kind of trickling in as Deandra has been bringing it in as a permit modification.
Okay,
And so if there is anything, as of now, all the the flood-related applications are done. to
Okay.
completion, yeah.
I do have one other thing. Dee and I had talked about what constitutes a minimal,
Minimal activity.
what's the right word?
Minimal
Yeah,
activity.
So we've had conversations. So the way that minimal activities are addressed is that
Activities,
they don't necessarily come before the commission. We want to front a lot of them so that every single time that someone wants to cut down, let's say, a tree in the upland review area, and they're 49 feet away from the edge of the water course, is that something that would fall in line with the minimal activity, or is that something that the commission wants to see? And drawing that line, we've been working back and forth together on this in terms of how to better define minimal activity and what the commission feels is sufficient for minimal activity, or would you want to be seeing more things like that? So it's been a tough discussion to really narrow that in on.
It's really hard to define it in a way that applies. It's one of those things that you kind of look at it, and she's very good at this. You say, well, this is nonsense. Of course, just go do it. It doesn't mean anything. But then there are others that are similar, but maybe it's not one tree, and it's not right up against the house, and it's a bigger water course, and it gets kind of, so we've kind of dumped it on her to decide what is and isn't minimal activity, and we've talked about it, but it'd be nice to hear from you guys what you think is the sort of thing that would be considered, where you'd be comfortable with her saying, this is fine, I'll sign off on it.
Yeah, so
We don't want to
I'll
put her in a position where she's making these bad decisions. She doesn't want to be in a position where it's something she thinks she should be able to do, but maybe we won't like it.
I think it requires research. What do other towns do? Or has there been precedent set in other towns?
I'm sure there has been.
So I'd kind of like to do that first. So maybe we can revisit this next week.
Oh, that would be helpful.
Yeah, that would be a great starting point. Absolutely would be.
Oh, that'd be great. That would help.
I mean, I,
What's considered, I mean, it even comes down to the fact of what they consider a major impact as to a public hearing versus, something that can just be
That would be useful. I think we could stand to see that. The other thing we might consider is say, if you're gonna do something and it's gonna cost you more than $1,000, you have to do a regular application.
right.
If you're going out there by yourself with your chainsaw, maybe that doesn't.
And anything that needs to be denied, you don't want to leave that, the
Exactly.
people coming in after you. Send it to us, in that way. There's a lot of things that I think can be handled. And maybe that's something we need to have as part of our regs.
Yeah, it's
You know?
it's not a bad idea, and the inlands and wetlands regulations are separate from the zoning rewrite regulations that are currently ongoing with that. But having some sort of defining point where maybe we can use that as a starting baseline to develop what is the commission comfortable and what is absolutely a no-fly. For example, there's a septic tank replacement that we're receiving, but it was one that was very hard to really determine. But they're crossing a water course to have their leaching fields, and to us, that's
a problem.
That's a problem. But if you have someone who's in the upland review area that's looking to do a septic replacement, and it's beautiful lawn grass, and it's not acting as wetlands, where do we want to draw that line? It's not necessarily going to be as beautiful as black and white, but knowing what the commission's comfortable with and would be backing myself on in the decisions, that would just help move forward as to, not have to do the back and forth of the phone tag. Is this a minimal activity? Is it not a minimal activity? Just a better baseline. So I would love it if you could send that over, and we'll work on something, prepare it maybe for the next meeting, just as a draft. Where are we comfortable? And we can table this until next month. Mm-hmm. So we do have the deep reporting form that is a part of our application. So every applicant fills that out, even down to a minimal activity. You're filling it out if you are within that upland review area. And that is something that gets submitted to deep. But in terms of correspondence happening on the applicant's end, again, it's like where do you make that delineation? Is the reporting form enough to suffice what it is you're looking for, or do you want one extra step?
But when it does have water in it, it can really rip.
Yeah, but I mean, is that going to support aquatic life, and is it, does that?
No. you know, it happens constantly. It's a lot of these houses have been around for a long time. And, you know, when they put the house in the 30s, the crossing to get to the house was perfectly fine the way it was then, just like they did here. And then you get a big storm. Now, the weather's different. All the timbers have rotted. The thing washes out once, and now it's, well, what do we have to replace it with? And an engineer comes in and says, well, I designed for the 25-year storm. Well, that's an absolutely meaningless statement. It means nothing. If you said I designed it for 1,000 cubic feet per second, that means something. And you know, his calculation, this was 260 CFS. Well, that's nice, but what does that mean in terms of that crossing at that place? That may be perfectly fine. It may be totally inadequate if we get a 6-inch rain. And we're gonna get them. It's gonna wash them out. Right. It is.
So
we
we
just do the best
can, we can also approach this application by application, the similar way that we do with third-party reviews, where when an application is ultimately received by the commission, right off the bat, if it's a larger project that we have concerns about, we can always say, sooner rather than later, let's get deep involved. Let's get First Lights involved. Let's go and have a third-party engineer review. But all those things have to happen soon, like at the beginning of the application. So even like when we accept one, I don't know, we accepted one today. At that point, if there's enough information that can be reviewed and sent out to these for additional information, we can take it on a case-by-case scenario. It doesn't have to be a sort of a blanket application for every single scenario. So that also is an option that we can do.
Well, we do that anyway. And we do that.
We
The only thing-
absolutely do request it, yes, but
So, I think
it's
we're-
better to have it in the beginning of the application versus, you know, accepting it, then going through a commission meeting, realizing we don't have the information, having them go through a second one, and now we're reaching our timeline. And so extensions are then requested, and most of the time, the applicant is happy to give that extension, but if we can see that in advance and plan for that, so we're not right up against that timeline, that would be the important thing. So if anyone has the concerns, I would recommend addressing them and saying, hey, right off the bat, you know, I don't feel comfortable, you know, reviewing this. Is anybody considering whatever, deep review, First Light review, third-party review, anything like that?
The problem with that is the mechanism to do it. I mean, we can dump it all on you and say you do it, but that's not fair either. And I think you do look at these and do exactly that to the best
We do, yeah.
extent you can. But if you kick it around to the 5 of us, for example, Thad might say, you know, this is crazy. They need to have another engineer look at this thing and run some more calculations. And he's probably exactly right. And you may not have thought that, but that doesn't mean he's wrong. And then we get to the meeting, he says that, and we all say, yeah, we should do that. So your whole timeline's all screwed up.
No matter what,
There's
it's going to be
not a lot we can do about some of that.
fair, yeah,
Now, if you would,
absolutely.
maybe what you could consider is, if you get something like this, you could kick it to someone who's interested in, like, let's say Thad, it's vernal pools. He's big on vernal pools. So if it involves that, maybe you kick it to him and say, what do you think? And get his comment. You call me already, which is fine. Keep doing, well, don't call me anymore. Actually, you can, that's fine. But, you know, if you can think of, or Carl knows something about it because it's on the river, call him, and I know you do that, but I think that's a good practice. Just use the expertise that's in the group on an ad hoc basis. That should help, I hope.
Yeah, no, it absolutely does. Absolutely does.
Big projects are a lot easier because we go in knowing there's going to be a lot of stuff. It's the little ones that are hard.
It's the homeowner that's looking to replace his culvert so he can get to his house.
Exactly, that's the one that's tough.
I mean, I don't know how much these things cost, but it's not cheap, I bet, you know, to have engineers involved.
Yeah, and when you say, well, I put in what my neighbors put in, well, as we did tonight, well, yeah, that's great. And your neighbors didn't flat out, but your neighbors put it in 30 years ago and times have changed. So we want this thing designed not for a 25-year flood. We want it designed for 500 cubic feet per second, which isn't what he did. same time, I don't think there's a standard that says it should be measured in cubic feet per second, which is the one that makes sense. This 25-year thing is stupid, or 100. You're not going to make a homeowner design their driveway crossing for a 100-year flood, or are we? Maybe we are. Maybe that's a good idea. I don't know, I'm just throwing it out.
It's still on them when it washes away.
Well, we
But,
can suggest they
you
do
know,
it, but
as far as how they
right,
do it,
we can't tell them.
Yeah.
I don't know, frankly, I don't know what we can tell them. Because we don't have any regulations on that go to that level of detail, I don't think.
Nothing, correct. So nothing to that point where it says driveways have to be designed and to this level of detail, to your exact point of this cubic feet of water coming through here. That is not specifically designed, but we can request as much information to be presented so that the commission is comfortable ultimately approving or, requesting an extension on applications.
requesting more information, we do it all the time.
Yeah,
I mean,
don't have a
especially of the bigger projects, to be honest with you, and
Typically with these now, and here again, it could apply to the typical driveway. We're required to design for 2.5 times full bank width. So whatever the depth, the width of the channel is, from ordinary high water to ordinary high water, the channel opening has to be 2.5 times wider,
at a minimum.
at a minimum. And then you do your hydraulic analysis based on that to determine, well, that would be for a clear span. But, if you wanted to go with, you would then have to take that clear span
And translate
and translate it into a specific, either a box culvert
or how many pipes you have to
how
put
many
in or
pipes you have
whatever.
to
But
put in
that,
inside.
but at least that's a standard.
It's a deep standard.
We
And I believe it's Army Corps of Engineers as well.
we could adopt something like that in our own regulations, but then it has to go through the regulatory process here, and it'd probably take us 2 years to figure out how we want to apply it. Unless you adopted it just the way it is and said, this is what they say, that's what we're going to do. And that takes care of the other issue, which is inherent in what you're saying, right? Width, height, for what it is now, and that's your minimum, and then you can look at what's the watershed that you're dealing with, and if it's little, it's one thing, and if it's bigger, you can say, okay, you gotta do more than that. But that's not in the regulations now.
No, correct.
We could always put it in. I mean, it may take 2 years, but
Well, I was just thinking, maybe we should consider
I
doing
think
that.
that's a great idea.
And go to an actual standard that says this is what you have to design to.
I mean, especially with the amount of flooding and damage that occurred.
Yeah.
I mean, I praise the people that came in front of the board and did it the right way. What scares me is all the people that
That
didn't.
didn't. There's hundreds of them out there that didn't.
Yep.
I know that. And we are gonna have another storm like that. It's just a matter of when. And we're gonna go through the whole process all over again. All these costs are gonna be washed out.
So you deal with this all the time. What would be a reasonable way to approach our trying to figure out what makes some kind of sense? And it's gotta be a standard that can be applied pretty much anywhere. You can't say 250 cubic feet per second, because that completely ignores the dimensions of the channel you're dealing with.
And the slope.
And the slopes, which is
Yeah.
difficult to do on a residential property.
I think where I'd like to start with this is, let's start with going through the list of the checklist items that you kind of have already developed, and we'll go through there. We'll compare what we require against what other towns are requiring, and maybe we can alter our application, information as to what is required
I
from
can send you,
us.
I can send you the
So-
checklist of it. I just filed an application in Norfolk yesterday.
Perfect.
I can se- I
That'd
can
be,
send-
that'd be
I can
fantastic.
send you the checklist of every document. I think there was 190 pages of documentation.
Wow. Yeah, no, so something like that would definitely be something that I would like to see to compare against the applications we have received, the materials that we request, and maybe internally it's something that we just start elaborating on and just requesting an additional information before it even reaches the commission. So I'd like to start there, the same way going through the minimal activity, and we can come back to the commission
I
with
like
an
that a
idea.
lot. Is that, you guys think that's?
Yeah.
I have one question, though. Does DEEP have lines drawn on all the charts that show where the 50-foot setback is, 100-foot because you get a big storm like we had, and these stream beds were altered in fairly diverse quantities. Some of them not very much, some of them they really cut over, and so what do you do as far as determining whether or not the landowner that lives now a different distance from this thing that just got carved out, whether it's his responsibility to go to the deep and get, or whether he comes to us and we go out and look at it. That guy had a staircase that went all the way down to the water over there. I mean, it looked like we were wasting our time and our effort and everything else because it wasn't clearly delineated as to, what we could do and what we couldn't do.
So the 50-foot is, well, there's a combination. So from any named water course, we have 100 feet setback, and that's from the delineation of the embankment there. And so then that is not shown on any of the GIS maps. A 50-foot setback from wetlands or a stream or a water course, that is something that is not showing up on the GIS maps. That's
Yeah,
something where
really
you
hard to
take
do.
the edge of what is the defined bank, where's the wetlands, where have they been flagged, and then taking it from there and measuring out the required distance. So it's not something that's necessarily typical that it's showing up on these maps because it is changing. Now, the wetland soils are not what's changing, but the embankment itself, absolutely, that has been dramatically
And the
changed.
ordinary high water lines and the floodway lines. But they're all.
We've
but
had
you-
several
but you
that-
can get all that off the FEMA permits. As long
Correct.
as they've updated them.
So
As
you-
long as they've updated.
You can
Because
find that
you-
information
you-
from
you
there.
can- You can get the floodplain and the floodway information off of FEMA.
Yes, you can.
And then a surveyor has to go out and physically
And then you gotta.
interpolate
Yeah,
tweak it.
confirm it.
and tweak it to
Yeah.
what the actual elevation is
Yeah.
at that point in time. And that's the problem, is you have, for the normal
Soil science.
property owner, you're talking $1,000 for a surveyor to go out and stake,
At the same time, though, for most property owners, we can go out and do that. We can literally walk out there with a tape and say, this is where we think it is, or take a look at it and say, it's close enough. And if they're gonna come in here and they really wanna get it done, I don't think we've ever had anybody come in here and argue that, no, I'm not within the 50-foot setback. Because they don't want the hassle. Because they know if they're gonna do that, we're gonna say, no, you can't do it. Take me to court. And then they're gonna go spend $20,000 to hire a lawyer and do that, and they're not gonna do it. So as a practical matter, I don't think we have that as a real issue. If we had to deal with a big subdivision, we might, but that's never happened. 'Cause
Well,
they
they're,
don't wanna go
they're
through the
gonna,
hassle.
they're gonna hire a soil scientist to delineate it themselves.
Right.
And then we can go out and say,
And then-
okay, that's where it is,
Right,
50
or
feet
we
from
can
there.
hire our own, and we can argue with it,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
that's what we're civilized, we're real, with real data. The average homeowner's not gonna wanna go through any of that stuff. And it's easier to just say, okay, fine, I'll just move my thing out 10 feet.
or they won't file for an application at all. and just
Well,
go
that's
ahead.
they're already not doing that.
Well, I know that.
So we do try to get as best attentive as we can to go out and as, we find a zoning violation for a shed that hasn't been permitted, then at that time, we would discover, oh yeah, once you actually come in with the plan, we're realizing it's in the wetlands area.
Right.
And so that one becomes a little bit more trickier to navigate through after the fact permitting, but it is still there. It's not just like everybody can go up putting stuff up thinking, no one's gonna come after me. That's not the case, and that's
Well,
not
in
the
that case,
precedent we
if the
want to
shed
set.
is already up, you can, for the most part, probably take the affected impact to the wetland areas that were caused and have them remediate another area and create additional wetlands on the property.
The commission can absolutely request something like that, 100%.
Or if they're cranky, we can tell them they gotta take the shed down.
That's the third option.
Well,
You say shed?
there've been a couple of times here when I've been all in favor of making them take the damn house down.
Yeah? Oh, wow.
And when I was up in Kent, we did.
Hmm.
They built the house, it was a zoning issue, it wasn't a wetlands issue, but they built the house, it was right off the property line. nobody wants to do that, but we can have that done. I mean, if you can get through the selectmen, but it is doable. But we do need some standards.
Yeah, so
To go back to where we started.
no, I love the idea of starting there, so, you know, we'll
No,
kind
because I
of,
went through and I started reading our regulations, and they seemed like there were a lot of open space.
It's a little loose.
A little bit, yeah.
This,
But they're good for what we use it for.
40 years ago, there weren't any regulations.
No, there weren't.
You know, it's all being kind of built up as the place expands and more people come in, and we need the regulation more and more. We got an awful lot of places that have violations,
And pretty,
including most of my neighbors.
and I hope that Jeep doesn't start pushing for the towns to start adopting the time of year restrictions for taking down trees because of the damn bats.
They might.
They might. I've got projects, the only time I can cut trees is between April 1st and April 14th
Because of the bats.
because of bats,
Well, the bats are important.
whether they're there or not.
Well, I understand that, but they are important, and no one, and it's probably cheaper to do that, less expensive for you to do that than to try to hire someone to go out there and try to watch where they are and how many are being born, and where they're coming in from, and come on.
No, right now it's cheaper for me to have the towns do the work.
True.
Then I don't have to worry about it, and I can arrive on the site April 1st and start work because I don't have to worry about taking trees down. They're gonna hold up utility relocations.
These are all issues we have to deal with. Anyway, we'll start with what we.
Yeah, I'll get,
great.
information to you tomorrow.
Does that help
perfect.
you?
Yeah, no, that absolutely does help me. Then do we move to approve the minutes?
There are no comments, I
Yeah.
guess we might.
You can't. I move to approve the minutes, September 17th, 2025, regular meeting minutes.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Any other business?
No. I'll move sorry.
So I'm Matt Martin, I'm with Stone Construction. I submitted the application for 91 Old Waterbury. I was just showing up in case there was any questions about.
Why don't you since you're here, why don't you give us a quick outline of what you're planning to do?
So last year, we put the box culvert in and we did the first length of concrete retaining wall to make the crossing. After the storm, the remaining boulder wall and concrete mortar mix that was down there all kind of washed in and their parking lot collapsed and everything kind of washed through. The culvert and the new wall all are still there. So we're looking to just extend off of the existing concrete wall, put in a new 50-foot section of it. And then outside of the scope of the wetland review, we're also installing the new water line, but we put a sleeve in when we put the box culvert in, so we're just gonna run it right through the sleeve and pop up the other side.
Same construction as you had in the,
Yeah, so the retaining wall will be the exact same design that we submitted last time. I included those drawings when we put this application in. We are gonna put a temporary dam and pump the water all the way around the work zone and carry it the other side. And then in terms of other erosion controls, there won't be that much because the dam is there taking
The dam's taking care of that.
care of all the water movement in that area. And then we'll rebuild the parking lot, repave it, and get the driveway all fixed back up the way
You
it
have
was
a
supposed
time
to be.
frame you're trying to work in?
I know we're trying to do the water line and the main driveway run in the next month or so.
Okay.
From what I understood from the Wetlands folks here, they said that once this approval came through, we were probably looking at December to put the retaining wall in because it needed enough time to review, do site visits, and have public.
Well, we're gonna try to get the site visits done before the next meeting, so with a little luck, you'll have your approval in November.
Which would be great. And then we'll go right in and start working on that fall.
Very good.
Also, not that it's any of my business, but the folks who were here for 633, I also reviewed that project, and I can fill in some gaps if you're interested in terms of information. So they didn't supply my proposal. I don't think I worked with those homeowners. I was working with home buyers who are looking to purchase that property and actually move in. So it's a 5 by 12 opening. So 5 foot tall by 12 foot wide by 12 foot wide. That's the current bridge that's there. And I personally don't agree with the 2 36-inch pipes. That's only a 15 cubic foot space. So I proposed 248s, which again is only about half of the capacity it has right now, but it's better than 36-inch pipe. The people down the road, who they are using as a reference point, their pipes didn't wash out because they had a paved driveway that helped lock it in, but the backside of their driveway was completely washed away and had to be reconcreted and mortared, and it's a mess. So I wouldn't exactly use that as a successful stabilized example. And then further down the road, I mean, we just did a 3x7 box culvert. We've done other 48-inch pipe, 60-inch pipe. So I think a bigger pipe is necessary for that. And then I planned on putting intermediate riprap on the walls, raising the driveway up to a higher elevation, and putting, guardrail up on the sides to allow people to drive through it safely. That was what I had proposed. Anyway,
Thank you for that information either way.
Very helpful,
Yeah.
thank you.
it does have a high flow. That corner is just below where we did all the repair on Old Waterbury.
Yep.
As where all those pipes collapsed and everything. We did that restoration last summer. So it's about midway through the hill. So it does get a lot of water, not nearly as much as you get obviously farther down. It is dry when there's no rain. There is no active flow during any downtime.
So it really is a storm channel.
It is a storm channel.
Yeah.
Just so you
And it's steep on either side. That's why I was asking. I was
It-
like,
it
this is,
Like I said, it's a 5-foot, almost straight drop. It's probably 2 to 1 going into the brook.
Yep.
And the bed of it is about 6 feet wide. So
okay.
it is wide and flat, and then it goes up steep on the banks.
Maybe it makes sense to ask them for measurements. That would be helpful. If
No, absolutely. So that would be part of the additional drawing instead of the sketch. So hopefully they can just further elaborate on that. But
Yep.
thank you for that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really helpful, thank you very
No
much.
problem.
You're welcome to come to every meeting.
I'll do what I can. I do a lot of looking around and helping out people where I can. But
Thank you very much. Okay, on that note, I will move that we adjourn for the evening.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
No one's opposed, motion passes. Thank you, everybody.
Meeting adjourned.
Glad you came. I do not know who's chairing next month. Well, I'm gonna be in Florida, I hope. Can't hear you.
He did.
I moved. Good night, thanks again. This is interesting, D. I'm looking at this from D'Amico. He didn't include a drawing.